stopping people. They taking people money. If you got over a certain amount of money, they're gonna take it from you. So majority of the crimes are, the police doing them, and then the whole notion that the is all the police here is because this is where all the crime at. But if you put the narcotics cops, and then the state troopers, and then the detectives, and then informants, and then the FBI on Wall Street, then what you gonna find? You're gonna find even more heinous stuff going on there. So the whole notion that the police are here because of crime is here is just crazy. And they actually, like, I know of a situation where someone who was employed by the state, he was an informant, a confidential informant, but they paid him. They pay him every month. He gets money from the state, and he went to get some people to commit a robbery on a warehouse. It wasn't, and when they did it, it turned out it was the police. So now he's doing 30 years. This is the type of ways that they create crimes. This man wasn't thinking about doing no crimes until they came to him and told him how sweet the crime would be if he committed it. You know what I'm saying? So, but this ain't, you don't hear about this type of stuff. When you read about it, you thinking that he was some type of a mastermind behind the whole thing, and that the police is doing real clever police work out here. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't hear about it, you wouldn't know about it. Like, for instance, I was arrested at a house, and the warrant stated that 7 grams of marijuana was sold at the house. And I'm still fighting this case. So from what I hear, 7 grams of marijuana is roughly 5 to 6 bags. To serve this warrant, they didn't knock on the door. They didn't wait till I left to pull me over. They kicked in the whole door. They kicked the door down. It was about 20 of them. They had these big guns. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was an earthquake. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, because I heard them before I seen them. I ended up in the kitchen, and I couldn't process what the hell they was doing there, because to serve me, Mwamba, Yeshitela, a warrant, I couldn't imagine them using the same methods that they would use to serve David Koresh a warrant, or somebody like that. They did everything but wheel us out of the house, like dude from Silence of the Lambs with the thing on his face, and but I just think it's important to say that when you read about this type of stuff, and when and from how they describe it, they make it seem like something diabolical was taking place that warrants 30 cops or so with these huge guns to kick in the door and say they're gonna, and tell my homie they were gonna shoot him in his head if he moved, but at the same time they directed him to move. So and from my understanding, there's nothing diabolical going on at the house. Talk about sports and politics and religion and some salacious talk, but that was about it. And if somebody came, somebody's playing loud music, turn the music down, the neighbors would come by and want to talk. If somebody was engaging in any behavior, let's say that their spouse wouldn't approve of, we would say, nah, you got to take that somewhere else. We was keeping a family unit together. That was a joke, but what I'm saying is I'm making light of it. I'm making light of it because it's totally in contrast to how they would describe it, to what the hell was going on, to where they damn near finna kill somebody over 7.0 grams of weed. It doesn't even make sense. It's not even something that's, it's not even logical, So this type of stuff happens every day. And so from there, I ended up going to on a trip to D.C. to the Congress, really just to get away, because I was getting pulled over every other day for running stop signs and yeah, the stop sign that wasn't even there. They said I ran, and then they told me I left this parking lot wrong. They told me I did a legal turn or something. I mean, you can either turn right or left. I don't know how I left the parking lot wrong. So I ended up in D.C. at the Congress, and from there, we came up with these two projects that I'm working on now. One I can't really talk about now, but the other project was the whole will start off as a youth convention and will turn into day 3 of the InPDUM convention on February 21st, which will be a dynamic event. I think it's important. Both projects, the one I can't speak of and the February 21st one, are both in anticipation of just anticipating that people more and more on a daily basis are being politicized and radicalized, if that's even a word, just based on the day-to-day experiences. Like I was telling you about the girl who had to do 30 days for a suspended license, but this type of stuff happens all the time. They jamming up people for selling food out of their yards, because they're trying to make money, but really that's illegal. When you look at it, by judging by what the law say, that's illegal. It's just as illegal as selling drugs. So both projects are anticipating that more and more people will be politicized and just engaged, just trying to fight their cases and try to make money. So with that, the program, from my understanding, and we solidified M1 from Dead Press, right? And then he's going to speak on a music program, just about the music industry and how we can be independent and how we can further our own aspirations when it's in terms of the arts in our lives. So it's looking like it's going to be a dope and engaging conference. So I just want to say thanks for having me, and Uhuru.
Uhuru. I am thrilled and honored to bring up our 4th speaker tonight. He is a towering figure in the African liberation movement. In the late 60s, he founded the Junta of Militant Organizations, and then in 1972 founded the African People's Socialist Party. He is the leader of the Uhuru movement, which created the African People's Solidarity Committee that we are a part of and of which this conference was organized by. And he's also a published author of several books and pamphlets, including most recently, One People, One Party, One Destiny. Please join me in giving a big round of applause to Chairman Omali Yeshitela.
Uhuru. Uhuru. Thank you very much, comrades. And these comrades are hard acts to follow. Mwamba, who reads novels, very novel fellow. I think that this is a real important discussion. The whole issue of drugs and crimes and resistance is important, and I think that this is important within the context of this plenary conference as well, and the growing strength and development of the African People's Solidarity Committee, because it contributes to where it is that we're trying to lead our struggle in this country and around the world. Part of my vision is to see in this period that we live and struggle in today, the growth of meaningful resistance movement among African people here and around the world. That is our task, and that is why the theme of the convention being held in Philadelphia in just a few weeks is that African people have a right to resist. And the reason that I think that this conference and the growth of APSC is so important is because when we talk about resistance and the real struggle that we are making right now to introduce the issue of the resistance of African people in this country, we are also raising the question of national liberation and the question of the existence of nations, the African nation itself. And that is really important. And the stance that the African People's Solidarity Committee takes around this question as you go out in the world, not just as an organization, but in life and with others who you know in various kinds of confrontations, that recognize the existence of the African nation in this country as a part of a dispersed African nation is critical. Because when we talk about resistance, we're talking about resisting the kind of things that have been spoken of in this meeting. The national humiliation of African people. The fact that the police can and do stop African people and just beat them up and don't even, it's not even like they have an arrest. In Philadelphia, 200 and some odd thousand people stopped and frisked. And of the 200,000 people who were stopped and frisked, only 8% of them were arrested. So all the others, they were not even arrested. They were not even charges filed against them. And of the 8%, many of them were not charged with for the thing they were stopped for. This is national humiliation. It has nothing to do with crime. It has to do with the issue of class contradiction, struggles for national liberation. That's why you find the concentration of state power in the African community to keep it subdued. People have a right to resist that kind of treatment, and they do resist it in various places around the world. That is a growing phenomenon that we are concerned with. So we want to really reintroduce the question of national liberation, that African people in this country are a part of a dispersed nation, and therefore we have a right to resist. Not only do we have a right to resist, when we pursue this issue and deepen it and make it broadly at least understood as a position, then it becomes increasingly unnecessary for us to say, free Mumia because he didn't do it. Because the fact is, for national liberation, if we are struggling for national liberation, then he had a right and a responsibility to shoot the cop who was brutalizing his brother on the streets. And I know that for some people find that an extreme kind of statement, but no more extreme than the people in Afghanistan who put an IED someplace to fight against American troops. No more extreme than any people who have been oppressed in Nicaragua or Vietnam or any place else. The reason why it does not appear extreme in those places is because we recognize that people are oppressed nations with the right to defend and resist themselves against occupation. And the African community in this country is a part of an oppressed, dispersed nation that is occupied every day of our lives. And when you talk about the police concentration in our communities, you're talking about an occupation. It is an occupation, no different from any other occupation anyplace else. So the struggle is for national liberation. That is a consciousness, that is something that has to be won in the world. That the African people are a nation with a responsibility, and if you can't defend it, say, Chairman Omali Yeshitela said it's an African nation. But the point is that it becomes the basis of our right to resist. Because we are an oppressed